Hello and welcome to Sonder. My name is Maggie and I am a knitter, crafter, sewist, and bibliophile, and new doctor living in Denver, Colorado. I am just petting my cute little pupilla. Oh, is he not the cutest? So yeah, today I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the projects I've been working on. I actually finished a sweater recently, and it was one of the fastest sweaters I've ever knit in my life. I'm sure that if you watched the last episode, you know which one it is, but yeah, so stay tuned for that. Life has been pretty good. I had a little bit of a challenging week, I think. I talked about that in my July wrap up, but yeah, doctors, when we have a hard day at work, it can be really sad. And I had a couple of days that were rough, just processing the traumas that my patients are going through, and that I'm going through too, because I really care about my patients, and it's hard when you lose them. But enough about that. I have been doing a lot of knitting and a lot of reading as self-care, and that has been really amazing. Denver is essentially in a cloud of smoke. There are not fires in Denver, but there are some fires in cities or like just outside of cities really close to Denver, which honestly is something that happens pretty much every summer. So the fact that we made it all the way to August and the fires are just now starting is pretty amazing. Yimpa has found one of his toys. What are you doing? There's nothing in there. Anyway. Sorry I'm so distracted. But yeah, I have been doing so much amazing reading and knitting, and I'm really excited to share that with you today. So I'm going to start off with the Ghost Horses sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and I have finished it. I'm so excited about it. So this is the sweater. I have knit this beautiful sweater out of a sport weight yarn, which is the gray background that I got from Yampa Valley Fibers. And it is a really, really beautiful yarn that all comes from one single ewe named Sadie. And then also from Spin Cycles, dyed in the wool in their Shades of Earth colorway, and then just a little bit of it is the Rusted Rainbow colorway. So I am so excited about this. I'm going to wear it so much. I will try it on really quickly and then probably take it off immediately because it is like 95 degrees in Denver, which is crazy. Can we all just acknowledge that Yampa is sitting right behind me on the couch? Oh boy. All right. Here it is. I will actually just give you a little bit of a view. So this sweater I am so excited about. I did change it a little bit. So it is supposed to be a pretty fitted sweater, but I ended up adding probably, I would say, like 4 inches of positive ease, and so it's a little bit boxier. You can see that I have not woven in any of the ends, but that is just still finished in my book. You can see that I did a split hem here, so the back goes down a little bit longer than the front, and I did change the sleeves. So Caitlin Hunter gives you directions to knit I think like kind of short sleeves or long sleeves, but the long sleeves she has you knit all the way down, and they kind of are a balloon sleeve and then come in at the very end. And what I decided to do, we'll just switch this around. Yimpa, get off. Come on. He doesn't want to. What I decided to do was I knit down the sweater. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I knit down and I just made so that the outside was definitely in pattern, and then the inside I just slowly decreased because I did want the sleeves to fit a little bit more tight, because I do have some balloon sweaters already, or like sweaters with balloon sleeves already, and I wanted some that were not that. And then you can see I kind of knit to 3/4 for the sleeves, and I essentially knit until I didn't have any yarn left. And then I did a long cuff in this 1x1 twisted rib in that beautiful Sadie colorway. And I love it. I did not do any yarn management, so the sleeves definitely are Swiss, like sisters but not twins. They do not match perfectly, but I really love them. I love this sweater. I want to show you. I don't know if you can see it, but right here is, for some reason, my absolute favorite color change on this sweater. I just think it's so beautiful, and it almost looks like a sunset at like the end of dusk, where the sun is like slowly setting, and it kind of turns from that rose to purple, and then ultimately like into a really dark purple of the night sky. So I really love this. It is really warm just because it's generally warm in my house right now, so I'm definitely not going to be able to keep it on, but wanted to show what it looked like on. So I'm so excited. I'm thrilled. I think I'm gonna wear this a lot in the winter. It is so amazing. I'll turn it inside out. I feel like some people like to see the floats, and I don't really know why, to be honest, but here is the inside. I feel like you can kind of see the horse. Pretty crazy. There are some really long floats, so I had to grab some of the floats so you can't see it perfectly, but yeah, this was a great sweater. The color work is really fun. I really like that the color work in the yoke is different, and then you have this repeating color work in the body, because it makes it so that the yoke is really fun, and it's a lot of counting and it's a lot of thinking. And then once you get to the body, it just becomes sort of mindless, and you can just kind of not think about it and zone out. And I love color work in general. I just think it is so fun. Like while I was knitting the horses, it was so amazing and so fun to just see them kind of exploding off of the sweater. And, you know, I don't know, it's a really fun thing because it's all just knit stitches, but somehow ends up being really entertaining and really addictive. So, yeah, my Ghost Horses sweater, it was so amazing. I do think that this is kind of interesting. So, when I was first knitting this, especially up here, I actually held the white. I made it so that the spin cycle was the dominant color, so I held it in my left hand, and then the white I wanted to be my non-dominant color because I really wanted the spin cycle to kind of shine in the top part of this sweater. But when I got down here, I realized that it was sort of the opposite. I wanted the spin cycle to go into the back and for the white or the grayish yarn to be in the forefront in the bottom. But you can see right here that I knit this line the other way. So I knit this line where the white or the gray is non-dominant and then switched here. And I just think that this is a really interesting example of color dominance because you can really see how this line of the sort of crosses are much less prominent than what you see for the rest of the sweater. So color dominance is real, and generally I think about color dominance and I change it quite a bit throughout the sweater based on what I want to focus on or what things I want to be more dominant. And so yeah, I thought that was interesting. I definitely noticed it as I kept knitting and didn't really like it and thought about picking it back. But you know what? I just got to the point where I was like, you're thinking about this too much and it's totally fine. But yeah, the Ghost Horses sweater, I am going to wear this so much. It is gorgeous. I mean, look at it. Oh, it's so perfect. So yeah, I'm super, super thrilled about this. Yay! It's definitely way too hot to wear it at all right now, but it was so amazing to knit, and I highly recommend it if you have any interest in knitting. I will also say that because even though the color work is all over, the charts for the body and the sleeves are like very easy to memorize. So I think if you're like wanting to dip your finger into an all over colorwork sweater, that would be like a great like gateway into knitting more sophisticated or more complicated sweaters. All right, now on to the next sweater I've been working on. This is Andrea Mowry's, I think it's the Daydreamer, and this is an all over cabled sweater, and I've done a lot of work. So before, when I last showed this, I think I hadn't split for the sleeves yet, and I have knit both the front and the back. I am super excited about this. I do feel like my gauge changed a little bit, so I don't think you'll be able to see it once it blocks out, but the bottom is definitely a bit tighter than the top, which is fine. I love this sweater. I think it's something that I am going to wear constantly. I am a little bit bummed about the change in my gauge from knitting flat versus knitting in the round, but this is just the way the cookie crumbled. And yeah, the next thing I have to do is like knit sleeves in kind of a complicated way, and I just don't have the mind space to knit on something this complicated right now. It is not an easy sweater, and it's really time consuming. It grows really slowly, and I think that this sweater has definitely become a product knit and not a process knit. I am not enjoying it, which I hate to say. It's so beautiful, but it's just, it is a slog. It's a slog. So this is officially, that is like a perfect color representation. That is exactly the color of this yarn. This is the, I think like Derwenter something. And it's the Fiber Company Cumbria Fingering. And I really love this yarn. It is a little bit rustic, but I don't really mind scratchy yarn. But I would say, like, if you are sensitive to rustic yarns, then this would probably be hard for you to wear right next to your skin. For me, I don't think I'll have any trouble, but yeah, it's really beautiful. I really, really love the V-neck of the front of this. I just think that it's a really beautiful, it's really beautiful how it plays with the curves of the cables, and then they just kind of split and then keep going up the sides. So yeah, I'm really loving it. And by that I mean I'm really loving the sweater, and I think that it's a sweater that I will wear a lot. Look, I feel like you can see here how different the gauge is. Oh, I don't know, whatever. I don't care anymore. There's like no fucking way that I would ever like go back, because it is just, that would just be hell. And then what would really happen is I would just like rip it out and just be done with it, which is not where I am. Like, I want to be clear that I'm not like ready to give up on this sweater by any means. I just, you know, need to knit the sleeves and then be done with it and never look at it again, because it is gorgeous. And I have knit other sweaters that are all over cable sweaters, but I think like the fingering weight and yeah, it's just a lot. I really like it. I'm gonna really, really love this sweater, and I think when I'm finished with the sweater, I'll be really glad that I made it, but it's taking me forever because it's just not that enjoyable to work on. So if you want this sweater, you go out and you make it, because it is a beautiful sweater, but just be warned that it is a pain in the ass to knit. But I mean, the texture, it's so beautiful. It's so gorgeous. I love it. Yamba's right here. Okay, the last project that I'm going to work on, I actually will insert a little bit of footage right here that shows you the yarn that I got. So I'm just coming in here to show off some skeins that I bought so that I can roll them up and start making a sweater out of them, because I'm really looking forward to a sweater that's a little bit less work. I got a couple of different skeins. You can see Sansa just grooming herself right there. What a weirdo. Just grooming her udder. She has a nice skin flap down here that we call her udder. Anyway, so I ordered a couple of different skeins. I had a bit of a difficult week at work and wanted to do some retail therapy, which, you know, I'm fine with. I am planning on making one of Caitlin Hunter's patterns. I'll put it in here. I'm not sure. I forget what the actual name of the pattern is, but it is a fingering weight color work pattern where the top of the sweater is one color and then the bottom and the end of the sleeves have some color work at the bottom. So I got a few different yarns to do this. I got 2 skeins of this yarn. This is made by Haley Bailey, and it is her classic sock in the color Juniper. It is this absolutely gorgeous colorway that to me really reminds me of kind of the oxidation that happens on copper. So that sort of green color that you see on copper, and there's like little swirls of orange in this, and some really beautiful speckles as well. So this is going to be the top of the sweater and the main color work, and then it calls for 2 contrast colors. One is like a fairly large amount, and then one is a smaller, like very small contrast color. So I'm going to do these, and then I got Ironside. So this was like inspired by oxidation, and this is Fiber for the People in their Surrey alpaca and silk colorway. So I saw this and I felt like it would be beautiful. This pattern calls for just normal like fingering weight, but I really love I think it's called the pink velvet sweater that Andrea Mowry makes, where the color work is done in this like alpaca, in this like Surrey silk, and it kind of adds like a little bit of an interesting texture. So that is what this is, and this is just a absolutely gorgeous colorway that I think will go beautifully with this, and be a really nice contrast to make it look even more like the sort of copper oxide. And then I have some left over of this beautiful orange, which is from, it's right here, from Nerdstring. This is their like merino fingering weight, and this is in their penny colorway. So it's this like really beautiful copper color, and I'm going to put this all together so that it really looks kind of like a rusted copper piece. I think it's going to be really, really beautiful, and I am so excited to get started on it and get to seeing what this looks like knitted up, that I couldn't wait anymore. So I am going to wind that into balls and cast on this beautiful sweater. All right, so this beautiful yarn is becoming, I don't remember the name of it. I think it's the Nordiska? The Nordiska or Nordiska? I'm not sure. but this is a Caitlin Hunter pattern as well. I have talked about Caitlin Hunter before. I love Caitlin Hunter. I think that every sweater she designs fits into the aesthetic of me and where I live, and I absolutely love it. This is the yarn. This is the Made by Haley Bailey yarn, and it is so gorgeous. It is her Juniper color, or Jupiter. I think it's her Jupiter color, and it is so, so beautiful. It is kind of this light seafoam green with lots of shades of darker green and brown and reds and blue. It is so beautiful. And I am pairing this with this, I think it's called the Ironsides colorway, but this is the Surrey Silk from Fiber for the People. And so I'm going to put these together. And then I'm trying to decide between either this Nerd Bird, which could be cool, but I also think that then the sweater will look very orange. And I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards this one. So I don't know. If you have a very strong preference, let me know if you think that you like this sort of burgundy purple one more or the orange one. I don't know. I think I like this one. I don't know. I need your help. So if you have a strong preference and you like one better, please let me know. But without further ado, I just joined in the round, and this is exactly what I needed. It's been a while since I worked with hand-dyed yarn. I realized, that in general, I think hand-dyed yarn is beautiful, but oftentimes it's a little bit too wacky for me. But this, it is knitting up so gorgeously. I am doing helical knitting, which is a little hard because, as you can see, I just joined in the round. So before this, I wasn't helical knitting, and I was just knitting back and forth. So every 2 rows was a different ball band. And now I have started doing helical knitting. I don't know exactly what I'll do once I get to the raglan decreases. I haven't really figured out how to do helical knitting, honestly, when there's a pattern that you have to follow. I kind of end up just like fudging it and trying to like work around it a little bit. And it never quite works the way I want it to. So we'll just kind of see what happens there. But I really love this. Let me try to show you what the color looks like. It's a little bit more green than how it's showing up. I think this is going to be something that's actually pretty hard to get a good representation of what the color is. I feel like that is more similar to the color, which is harder because it's all the way back here, but it is like a like light sage seafoamy green. I love it, but I want to bring it closer to you so you can see the like gorgeous variegation. I actually think I've done a pretty good job of alternating skeins such that it doesn't pool in any weird way. I know some people are like super cool and they just embrace pooling, but I just can't do it. I'm too type A. I'm really loving this. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. I hope it looks good with my skin. I hope it doesn't make me look like I'm like sick, but you know what? I'm gonna wear it either way, so what do I care? Yeah, I really love the detail that Caitlin Hunter put into the raglan increases of this sweater because, as you can see, and I'm sure everyone already knows, it is this beautiful cable motif, which is a little bit more of a challenge to see in this slightly variegated yarn, but I just think it adds such a beautiful, delicate little touch. So I'm really enjoying it. I just started it yesterday, so you can see that I have made quite some progress, but it is a fingering weight sweater, so I think it will take a little bit longer than normal. Just because it's fingering weight, I feel excited to work on it though, because it's a little bit less hot to work on than some of the other sweaters that I've been making. I also have quite a few of the sort of DK weight. Sean is walking by right now. I have quite a few of the like DK weight and worsted weight sweaters, and so I'm really enjoying knitting on something that is just a little bit lighter, and I get overheated really easily, so I think that it's something that I'll be able to wear like inside, outside, and not have any problems. The sweater itself is very cropped. I'll put a picture of the sweater here just so that you can get a sense of what I'm talking about. It is very cropped, and I've heard a couple of people talking about how the sleeves of the sweater come down like farther than people like, because they can't like lift their arms without the sweater coming up, and that is just something that I'm not concerned about. I don't really care if people see my belly, you know. I love this body that I live in, and if someone accidentally sees my belly button, then, you know, good for them, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I think more women should show off their bellies, especially when it's just like a small passing little thing. And I don't know. I feel like women are objectified so much that it has made us want to hide. And if that is what you want to do, then you should absolutely do that. And for me, I just don't care. So I'm going to knit it just to pattern. I think the only thing that I'll probably change is it is like very, very cropped, and I'll probably add a couple of inches of the yarn. I think like what you're supposed to do is like knit down until the sleeve cut off and then immediately change to the color work. And before I immediately change to the color work, I'll probably add a couple of inches of just like straight stockinette, because yeah, I think I'll just want a little bit of, I don't know where I'm going with this. I think I'll just want it to be longer, obviously. Anyway, that is all the knitting and crafting I have to talk about. I think it's funny because I've talked about how I'm a sewist, but I have not really been sewing anything at all. And that's because my husband has become quite the sewist himself. I will make him come on here and talk about all of the things he's been sewing, but he's gotten really into it. He had a knee injury and was stuck at home and was like, I'm gonna learn how to sew. And he has been making like custom bags for his bikes that fit the frame of his bike like perfectly, and like, y'all, I'm impressed. Especially because he's been like putting in zippers and shit, and that's like something that I hardly do because they scare me, so it's pretty cool. It's like very, very cool. And I'm also just smitten by the fact that he's like getting into sewing. It's awesome. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to move on to talking about the couple of books that I've been reading, because I read just one of the most beautiful books I've ever read in my life, and that is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. Oh my god, I definitely gave this 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It is so beautiful. I am going to insert a video where one of my favorite booktubers talks about colorism, because I am not a person of color. I am not Black, and so there are things that I feel like I, as a white person, can't express in any way that's nearly as eloquent as own voice reviewers. So I'm gonna put a couple of like really wonderful own voice reviewers in here. But oh my gosh, this was such a beautiful story about family and about what it means to be Black in America and what it means to be white, in how you decide if you're white or Black. It is so interesting. Essentially, the story is about two twins who grow up in this really strange town where they have essentially married and had kids to promote certain beauty standards. And in that place, the beauty standard is to be a light-skinned person, particularly a light-skinned Black person. And these two sisters are both white passing. One of them decides to live as a white woman, and one of them decides to live as a Black woman. And it is about how their lives and the lives of their families become drastically different because of that choice. And oh my God, it is beautiful, astounding, insightful, thought-provoking. It is everything. I absolutely loved this book. I cried, and I don't know if you can see, so I am someone who like really writes a lot in my books, and I just wrote on almost every page. I found this to be such a beautiful way to have a peek into a world that I don't know anything about and I can't be a part of. And that is one of the most beautiful things to me about reading and about fiction, is that rather than just reading what happened in the past or someone's story, it allows you to really be enveloped in this character's life and experience the world that they live in. And for me, I think that it changes the way I see the world when I read a book that really allows me to be engulfed in the world that the author has created. And I know that I will never be able to understand what it means to be Black in America. That is something that I will never get. However, this has allowed me to understand a little bit more. And I think that it has really helped me see the world in a different way and understand my own biases, because you're confronted with them again and again and again. And oh my God, it was amazing. It was so gorgeous. And I think that everyone should read this. I know a lot of people are talking about it, but they are talking about it for a reason. It is important. It is beautiful. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So definitely 5 out of 5. I really, really loved this novel. I would recommend it for everyone. There are some trigger warnings for abuse, for transphobia, but also for like trans love, and yeah, oh, it was great. I really, really loved it. It was surprising. Like I think I expected it to be one thing, and then it was something that was that, but even more. And yeah, it blew me away. So good. And then after I finished that, I have also been reading, I'm going to butcher it, so I'm going to pull it up on my Libby app. I have been reading the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I am really enjoying it. I'm 48% into it right now, so I'm pretty far into it, and it is just so kitschy and so fun. I think one thing that is bothering me a little bit is right now, it feels a little bit white savior-y, because it's like these like women on one side of the tracks like start helping save people on the other side of the tracks, and they, I guess, don't like explicitly say what races they are, so that's probably my own bias coming through. But it feels, they definitely say that that kids of color are like the ones who are going missing or being impacted by this like monster that moves in. So they definitely like point out that people of color are the ones who these crimes are being perpetrated against. They don't necessarily go into the races, I don't think, of the white people that are living, well, what I presume to be the white people just based off of like their characters, but that is probably my own bias, so there you go. Anyway, I hope that I would hate if it was like some weird white savior novel, but right now, that is the only critique I have, because other than that, it is just fun. It is about some women down in the South who like reading about true crime, and then they think that a vampire moves in, and it's about how they try to slay this vampire, and it's great. I am going to try to bend the camera into my lap so you can see what Yampa is doing without disturbing him, because it's adorable. Oh, he just moved. he literally is just sitting here and he like laid his head in my lap and it was so cute. Okay, the next book that I want to talk about is the physical book that I'm reading right now. So generally what I do is I read like one physical book and one audiobook at a time, and then I sort of go back and forth between them. So I just picked up The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, and he is a queer author who wrote this incredible novel. I am only like 50 pages in, but oh my gosh, it is so heartwarming. It is bringing me so much joy. It is fantastic. I think that the inner dialogue of the main character is just so cute, and I'm loving it. So I think I'm going to continue to love it. I'm going to read it right now as I upload this, but yeah, I don't have much more to say on it other than it is about a guy who works for, what is it? He works for the department in charge of magical youth, and he essentially has to go somewhere on a mission. I don't really know. I don't know what it's about. Why am I still talking about it? It's great so far. All I have to say right now is that I really like the inner dialogue of the main character. It is written in a really whimsical way. There's magic in it, literally from the first page. There's like levitation of blocks, and it is so fun. It also feels like there's like a little bit of like a Big Brother vibe, and it kind of is like a dystopian future type of vibe. It's great. I also just think that the cover is so lovely. So yeah, I actually started a book club with my aunts, with my like aunt and my mom and my sister and my cousin, and so we are all going to read this together, and I'm really excited about it because I think that it will bring us all joy, hopefully. So I'll keep you guys posted on how this goes. What are you guys all reading right now? What are you knitting on? What color should be my third contrast color in my sweater? Please let me know. So yeah, without that, that's the end. I have nothing more to give. Yeah, I hope that everyone's doing well. I hope everyone is safe and happy and healthy and volunteering. This is something that I need to start doing more of. Sean, over the weekend, he was calling registered voters about voting in the upcoming elections, and I want to make sure that everyone who is registered to vote votes, and everyone who is not registered to vote and who is a U.S. citizen and able to vote registers. So literally all you have to do is Google like register to vote and click on the first link and register to vote, because this election is really, really important. And we don't want to have it be mid-November and wish that we could have done more. So let's get out the vote. Let's do something. Let's make change. All right. Bye.